Hi, and welcome to the Sabbath Christian Church's online sermon. We know that God chooses people to be His people. Be interesting to look into this a little deeper and see how this happens. The angel of the Lord appeared to him. This is Moses. Appeared to him in a blazing fire in the midst of a bush. Blazing fire. Interesting. In the beginning, God said light. And the fire certainly is, obviously, a form of light. It gives us an indication that this light here not only is used for seeing, but it is also with the EN in front of it, enlightenment. And this light works out just like that. It says, blazing fire in the midst of the bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire. Yet the bush was not consumed. Took an interest in it. It's interesting that he took an interest, and we've said this before, took an interest in this burning bush thing. He said, so Moses said, I must turn aside now. Hadn't that bush been burning there before? We don't know. But that supposition has been made by some. Because very often, when God is dealing with people that are going to be His people, they don't always get it right away. There are other things on their minds, other things they have to learn. They have to wait a long time. A lot has to go on with a person's life until they're ready. Moses was ready. I must turn aside now. I must, he says, turn aside now. Not just, well, I'll give a look, as they say. And see this marvelous sight. Why the bush is not burning up. He turned aside. Wanted to see this marvelous sight he had never seen before. Something was a little different here, perhaps, if that sort of thing happened before with him. When the Lord saw that he turned aside, see, that makes it more interesting there, that finally Moses turned aside to see this. He said to look. God called out to him. The angel there, God called out through the angel, called out to him in the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said to him, and Moses said to him, here I am. Now we don't know how God said that to him. Whether he said it in a very demanding way, a very polite way, a very easy way. And he said, and Moses says, here I am. He's at this burning bush and he hears this voice saying to him, Moses, Moses. And he says, here I am. Then he said, God said, do not come near here. He said, God said, that's a very strange thing to say. He says, he said, remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. Adding another step to the relationship here between God and Moses as a very good example of how God deals with people. He says, you have to do something. This is holy ground. Remove your sandals. Maybe they were flip-flops. No, I don't think they had them back then. And he said, and he said also, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, and I add the God of Noah, one of my favorites. So I don't think Moses was expecting this at all. Then Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. He looked at the burning bush and he wanted to see what's in the midst of it. And now when he finds out what this bush, the burning bush, the fire, represents, the light of God in all the ways, then he hid his face and he was afraid to look at God. Then God goes on and says to him, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt. Now, he has surely seen the affliction of my people, he says. We know how they became his people from Abraham on, and how they went to Egypt and all of those things. He says, I have given heed to their cry because of their taskmasters, for I am aware of their suffering. You know, they were there 40 years. And God now sees it. Now, what did they just become afflicted in the past couple of days or past couple of years, or in the time that Moses spent away from Egypt in the wilderness, in that special place? I'm aware of their suffering. So I have come down to deliver them from the power of the Egyptians and bring them up from the land to a good and spacious land. You know, this later on after Moses' time, they will cross over into that promised land. He says, now behold, the cry of the sons of Israel has come to me. Furthermore, I have seen the oppression with which the Egyptians are oppressing them. Come now, and I will send you to Pharaoh. You know why they were suffering that many years? Because nobody among that group would have the relationship that Moses would have. Moses was a very special individual. You know, God picked special people to be his people over the years. Picked Noah, picked Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all of these people that God picked. Because up until Moses, there's no way in the world could God get the children of Israel out of the land of suffering. Needed that one person, that relationship that he had with Moses, because Moses was the type of person that God could get along with. Was the type of person who was a believer, type of person whom he could adopt as a son. He had that within. And this only happens to certain people over the ages. Out of the millions of people, there are only certain people that are willing to be that tiny part of that percent of all the people in the world. Like, no, as we said. He says, now, therefore, come now, and I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people out. There was nobody else he could have ever sent. It's a special relationship. And he says, I'll bring my people out, that you may bring the people out, my people, the sons of Israel, out of Egypt. And so, what would, you know, we know what Moses is going to say. But it's an interesting thing here. It's a great honor to be in that position where God's going to have him as an ambassador and everything, to go there and speak to Pharaoh. And we know the history of Moses and the Pharaoh, same Pharaoh or not. He says, and Moses said to God, and how is he saying this? He says, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Is he saying this in humility, or is there a touch of, probably not, a touch of his feeling of being out of Egypt all these years, although I think that was very pleasurable? Primarily he says, what do you mean, I can't do that kind of thing. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? That I should bring the sons of Israel out of Egypt? There's another attitude there that Moses had that God appreciates. Because when God calls people to him, particularly Moses here, not about everybody, but particularly Moses here says, who am I to be able to do these things? I don't have that. What, me? Why? Why me? And so God goes ahead and reassures him. And he said to him, certainly I will be with you. So it's not who am I, it's Moses with God being with him, his mind within him. That God teaches him all these things, and they go through all the things that have gone on to get the people out of there. It is I who have sent you. This shall be a sign to you that I have sent to you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship at this mountain. This will be the sign. People have to trust God. Who am I? I'll be with you. Who am I? I'll be with you. Trust me. Bring the people out. Amen. And thank you for watching and listening.